The next problem, the table shows the population of West Fargo. Let x equals 0 be the number of years since 2000. We need to answer the following. So we need to sketch a scatter plot first. In order to do that with your calculator, you need to make sure that 1, you turn on your scatter plot. And in order to do that, you are going to follow these steps here. So first you would hit second, then you would hit y equals, and you would get a screen that looks like this. And in order to make sure that it's plot 1 on instead of off, you're going to just hit enter twice. So 1 gets you into this screen, and then once you hit enter again, it selects the on button for you. And that is what we need. Once you have that done, you can hit clear. We also need to make sure, so the second thing you need to do is make sure your diagnostic is on. To do that, you hit the mode button, and you would get a screen like this with lots of words. And then you need to go to Stat Diagnostic. And make sure it is on. Once you've done those two things, then you can go ahead and start the problem. There we go. And to get out of the screen, you just hit clear again. So because x equals 0, that's the number of years since 2000, we need to change all of these years into the number of years since 2000. So 2001, is 1 year from 2000. So we're going to use the value 1 for that, 2 for this one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. So we are no longer going to be using the year 2001, 2002, 2003. We're just going to use 1, 2, 3, and 4 through 9. Okay, then the population, that's going to be our list 2. So to go ahead and enter the data, we are editing what data our calculator has. So to do that, you are going to push the stat button, and then we want to edit the list. So stat, edit. And now again in list 1, we're going to enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then in list 2, we're going to enter all of these values. With a question like this, you want to make sure you are double checking the numbers as you type them in, because having one number different is really going to affect your answers for the rest of the problems. So make sure you are being careful about that. And we have 18, 340, 20, 260, 22, 364, 23, 048, 23, 711, and 24, 313. All right, and list 1 and list 2 should have the same amount of boxes filled. If you have an odd number, then you must have made a mistake on one or both of your lists. So make sure you are checking those. After you edit the data, then you're going to push the zoom button and then number 9. That's going to give you a picture of your scatter plot. When you sketch it, you should be using points. And when you do that, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it should look very similar to your graph. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this graph kind of looks like a little bit of a curve in it. So when I did my points, there's a slight curve in that as well. The picture on my calculator has 9 points. The picture on my page also has 9 points. So make sure you are keeping track of that. With your graph, you need to make sure you are labeling the X and Y axis. So for this one, we have our year, we have our population, and then you can give it a title. So population/year. If you want to be more specific, you can. Then we also need to label our max and our minimum. So in class, I did tell you you can use just looking at the table to do it. I have found another way to do it that's more accurate. To do that, you're going to hit on the calculator the window button. It's at the top right next to y equals. When you do the window button, that's going to show you on this window what your x minimum is, so 0.2, also what your x maximum was, which was 9.8. And it's not the minimum and maximum of the points, it's the minimum and the maximum of how far zoomed in the graph was. So that is why we have that information. So the x min and the x max, and then our y min was 14,412.46, and our y max was 25,751.54. Okay, for this chapter, because I told you something different in class, I will accept that for now, but moving forward, we are going to have to use this after this unit. Now that we have that, we can go ahead and answer the rest of the questions relating to this data. Use your calculator to find the line of best fit. When you need to do that, you are going to go back to stat, and now we are calculating an equation. So you're going to hit the right arrow to go over to calc, stat, right arrow to calc, and we're just working with lines right now. So we're going to go to number 4, which is our linear regression. Then you're going to go down to calculate, and you will have this information. Now, because it's an equation, you have to write y equals at the beginning. Then you're going to plug in the a value they give you, which is 1,198.3. Don't forget the x. You should have an x in your equation. And then plus your b value, 14,151.2778. And you can round to 4 decimal points like it says in the directions here. And that would be your answer for question 8. Question 9, find the correlation coefficient. That is the R value that was on the screen. If it does not show up, you need to make sure you did step 2 where you turned on your diagnostic. If not, you need to go back up to step 2 at the beginning where it says mode stat diagnostic and make sure you turn that on. And this one, R was about 0.9835. What does this mean about the correlation between the year and the population of West Fargo? You are looking, is it positive or negative? This one is positive. And then, is it weak or strong? If it's a 0.8 or a 0.9, that is considered a strong correlation, and this one would be strong. If it was like a 0.6, 0.5, that would be a weak correlation. The last problem for this data is predict the population of West Fargo in 2020, round to the nearest person. With this, again, don't forget that X is the number of years since 2000. So we need to figure out how far away is 2020 from 2000. This one is pretty easy to do mental math, but just so you know what to do in case it's a more difficult problem, you take the year you are looking for the population and subtract the year we are counting from. So we are coming from the year 2000. That means we have an X value of 20. We need to plug that in to the equation that we wrote in step 8. So y equals 1,198.3 times 20, and then plus 14,151.2778. And you would just type this into your calculator to end up with your final answer. Make sure you are double checking what you type in so that you are getting an accurate answer for this problem. 151.2778. There we go. And we get about 38,117.2778. And this one did ask for the nearest person. So we would not need to include that decimal. We would just put about 38,117. And that would be your final answer.